Hey, listener, this is Carlos, and we're going to start the show in just 1 second. But I want to invite you now to join us at Conflict Resolution for Anti-Fascists. This is a workshop and presentation that will be presented by Theresa Logan and myself, Carlos Kareem Wyndham. This is going to be happening on May 7, 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 Pacific. This is available at strategyandsolidarity.org. That's through our site. So go ahead and come on over to strategyandsolidarity.org. Go ahead and click on events and recordings, and you will find right there an available registration for this event. We're going to get together to talk about how we level up our skills and our ability to analyze and discern the best use of our time, energy, and resources to strengthen popular resistance and weaken fascist regimes. So please understand this is a conflict resolution for anti-fascists, not conflict resolution with fascists. We don't do that. Okay, on with the show. Hope to see you there. Welcome to Strategy and Solidarity Pod, the podcast, an act of revolutionary defiance and celebration of the things that bring us comfort, solace, and joy as we work to reclaim our humanity together. I am Carlos Kareem Wyndham.
And I'm Theresa Logan. How's your nervous system doing today?
Well, oh well, my nervous system. Regulated, I'll say. I'll give it that. Yeah. Uh-oh. Hitting all kind of wrong buttons. And look at this. I don't even care. That's how regulated I am. Almost stopped the recording. How is your nervous system?
I don't know. I think it's okay.
That is wildly unconvincing.
I'm not trying to convince you of anything. It looks like I don't actually know, which means it's probably not in the super regulated state, but
right.
I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
Riding the waves, trying to find my place in the center of the teeter-totter between all the joyous, beautiful miracles of life and all the horrors and atrocities, and how much my attention can hold and how much is within my power, and what I can ignore without bypassing, and what I ignore because it is distraction, and what is my place in all of this chaos in the moment.
Yeah. How have you been able to tell the difference between what is distraction and what needs your attention?
I mean, the things that are actually around me in my physical world tend to win out there, like my kids and the house and like the community directly around me, because they're the things I have the most, like, I don't want to say control, the most immediate impact on. You know, the way I show up, if I'm regulated and grounded, then I can hold a lot more space for my kids as they're trying to find their way through this world. If I'm not, that leaves them a little more ungrounded because mom's, it's like, what's going on with mom? I think I heard some ad for AI or something on the podcast I was listening to in the car on the way to take my child to school this morning.
An ad for AI?
I think so, or some automated, I don't know, whatever thing.
That's wild.
And I just went on a rant to my 14-year-old.
It's like an ad for air.
I was like, I hate it all. I lived in a world without the internet. Not as an adult, but I grew up in a world without the internet as a child. And I'm like, I feel like I've reached that age where I'm like, I just hate all of this. I don't necessarily want to go back. I don't think that was a golden era and we need to like all, turn off our electronics. But in some ways it would be a lot simpler. I find my plants and just being outside with the elements a lot more satisfying and enjoyable most of the time than engaging in the virtual world of content and media and consumption and just constant, endless distraction and information that I can't do anything about.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I feel like I'm a broken record at this point. Same thing most days.
Well, why don't you share what a broken record is, and why you repeating yourself sounds like one.
The kids don't know what a broken record means. I'm having more and more of those moments, so I don't feel that old, but I'll use some phrase. What's the one I said the other day? And the kids were like, what does that mean? I have to think about what it was. I can't remember. It was something like that. Oh, shoot. It wasn't Catch 22. I can't remember what it was, but a broken record. Yeah, because they wouldn't know that a broken record skips, and then you just hear the same thing over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, and that's only if it's a deep enough skip. Oh,
I was like, I
it's
remember
got
when
a
the TV
scratch.
turned off at night. You couldn't binge watch things and stay up all night. My grandparents had a Betamax, and they're like, "What's a Betamax?" So it was like a Blu-ray to a DVD, but to Betamax
Beta.
was to VHS what Blu-ray is to DVD.
Betamax lost that tech war because of pornography and adult films. Yeah.
How so?
The adult film industry chose, and I don't know what the reason was. I'm sure it was a contracting issue to produce on VHS rather than on beta, and that was it.
What was the difference? They were bigger.
I have no idea. I didn't have
remember.
a Betamax. I don't know.
I think my grandparents had one, but I don't. I was very young. I remember, my uncle had a car with an 8-track tape deck in it. But again, vaguely. Anyway, I don't know. The world feels like out of control. And also, again, if I just ground myself in the moment of this day, and today's not as nice. Yesterday was really sunny and beautiful, so it's easy to just sit outside and enjoy the sunshine and remember that life is beautiful.
Yeah. Well, you talked about feeling like you're out of the things that you can impact or what have you. When you're talking about that, I'm curious.
Am I your interview guest today? What is happening?
A little bit, yeah. What is your well, we ask each other questions. What is your the impact that in a previous time you were able to have, or what are the impacts that you were able to have that kept the feeling of entropy sort of at bay?
What do you mean?
Well, what was the work that you were doing?
When?
Prior to now. Prior to you're talking about how all of these feelings are happening, and I've known you for a decade.
When I had work, like recently.
Okay, sure. Let's start there.
I don't know. I've been doing a lot of work to try to unravel what's left of any savior syndrome I'm carrying around inside of me as well. But it definitely, that savior syndrome drove a lot of what I did most of my life, of wanting to, make the world a better place and save people, and either by first being a teacher, save the young people by being one of those inspirational teachers like Michelle Pfeiffer in Dangerous Minds or something. No, I knew that was nonsense when it came out. I'm just saying, but that stereotype of like, I'm going to be the teacher that will get through to the troubled kids.
Are we going to send you to Detroit? Where are we going to send it? Was some inner city?
Then I went and worked in international development. Same reason. How do we help the people who've been traumatized by colonization? Then I worked in child development, help the parents be better parents so the kids can be better kids. Just everything in my life was about how to try to make things better. But it was driven by a lot of saviorism, good intentions, but a lot of that white lady savior, I have to go save the people mentality. And I end up in conflict resolution probably for similar reasons. It's funny, a lot of conflict avoidant people are drawn to studying conflict resolution as an academic degree. It was very fascinating that I would sit there and watch, like, all my colleagues in our master's degree program were very conflict avoidant people, but everyone who was in like the certificate program that
Mm-hmm.
wasn't doing a master's degree, they're getting a certificate so they could like get a promotion at work. They were much more well, they were trying to actually go use this in their job they already had. So they were a lot more willing to engage pragmatically and practically than those of us who wanted to, sit in the ivory halls and study about it and talk about it and not have to engage, help others sort it out without knowing how to engage in conflict in our own lives. Um, and then, when you and I met doing that work, then I realized how much more important it was to actually be in practice doing work in the world and in the community. Um, Yeah, and that work we were doing felt very meaningful when we were doing it. And now that there's no work to be doing, it leaves me wondering what is my place in all of this,
Well, when you
to
say
try to
that
figure
work
out.
we were doing, what can you break that down a little bit more? I'm curious, like what your frame around what we have done in the past is,
Hmm.
um, right? Because and it's really as our conversation's evolving, right? I'm thinking about like the principles of Sankofa and being able to figure out or understand, not figure out necessarily, um, where we're going, and much of that, right, in Sankofa is based on where we've been. So, what is the as you would describe and understand it, the work that we've done or we're doing?
Yeah, it's interesting because there's so many different ways we would frame it depending on who we were talking to.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So at the core of what we're trying to do is advance human rights and racial justice, by leveraging the resources and will of bureaucrats who had access to resources within their agencies to make whatever improvements they could in the lives of the folks who are most impacted, who are often the customers and clients receiving services, as well as like employees working at those places, because most of us in the system spend most of our life at work. And so meaningfully improving the conditions and the ways that we treat one another, the ways that we work to dismantle and disentangle ourselves from oppressive systems in the workplace has a lot of impact on the daily lives of the people who work there, and incredible impacts for the folks that they serve. And we were primarily working with um, public agencies providing social services and nonprofits. And so we were working with healthcare organizations, employment department, health department, um, folks who are providing housing. And so we're working with people who are really full of other white lady saviors, people who are committed to try to make the world a better place, and disentangling how do I try to contribute to creating something new in the midst of what exists when I've been socialized to uphold these structures and I haven't finished
Mm-hmm.
disentangling myself from it. And so I always said we were doing, it was a little bit of magic getting paid to help dismantle the system from inside the system, which is what I think we were working to do. That's not usually what we'd put in our proposals. Like you were the one who introduced the frame of calling it the Trojan horse of like, what do people think they want? And then once we get in the door, we're trying to blow up their entire paradigm of the world as they know it and help them
Yeah,
understand where they actually live instead of where they think they live.
yeah.
And then figure out how to create things that are more just and sustainable, and you know, benefit those who are most impacted to benefit all of us.
I wonder what the morality of uh not our clients necessarily, but some of the like-minded agencies and orgs, um, how their how the moral commitment both to the work, right, and to their employees. I was going to say workforce, and it felt so gross. And to their to their employees, where that morality stands. I was thinking about that and wondering about the really I guess the how and if um morality really is determined by circumstance, right? Like what is the moral thing to do in a system designed such as ours, that to each one of those infrastructures, human infrastructure pieces to which you spoke, is just letting them fall apart, right? Right, and not only letting them fall apart, I mean deliberately destroying them, right? Between Patel having tried to move the FBI to Las Vegas so he could
Intentionally
party,
dismantling them all.
to having Linda McMahon in charge of education, which is the height of irony. What, within all of that, right? Where do you have a sense of where the morality of both, I guess, the choices you've made and the choices that the choice points that we've been trying to illustrate for people, like how stable is that right now? Does
What
it
do you
feel
mean?
stable to
How
you?
stable is the morality? What does that
Well,
mean?
so right, often I talk about in a wild misquotation from Hamilton, talk to our current our clients about screwing their courage to the sicking place, right? And such that you're able to hold through the trials and tribulations of shifting culture to one's own morality. And I I guess it just makes me think about, like, well, what is morality really in a world that is tearing itself asunder, right?
I don't know if
I
the
have
world's carrying itself asunder.
well, in our
A
world,
handful of
certainly, as
people
the
with a
United
lot of
States
power
is.
seem to be tearing the world asunder. I don't think the
Mm.
world's doing it.
I mean, there are certainly people who are engaged, and I only know that because, I've stopped for the most part, like even looking at comments on my posts anymore because the numbers are too high. But there's a follower who has taken to doing what I used to do and is doing like light work with these racists who show up in the posts, um, and the red hats. And I still haven't seen what any of them are saying, because once I see them comment, I know that, oh, they're commenting because somebody said some dumb shit. So let me just find that comment and I'm just going to go ahead and block them. Just because, not obviously my follower, but like block the racist, because who cares? Um, especially if they've gotten their light work off, they had their little tete-a-tete. I'm not interested in, like, whoever that is waking up the rest of the MAGA hive to come over to my page. So I've been intercepting that, but I do wonder, I can't imagine that for them, regardless of the fact that we find the approach so reprehensible, I just have a hard time imagining how they're functioning through it without some story that they're telling themselves about the moral righteousness of the choices that they're making, uh, including stripping the rights of women, trans people, people of color, and immigrants, which, including white immigrants at this point. I just don't get it. Like, there's got to be some sort of like what are they sticking it to? You know what I mean? Like, what does
The
this
MAGA
stick to?
people?
Yeah. Like,
I
what do you?
heard they're all starting to call Trump the Antichrist because he
I,
published a picture of himself looking like Jesus.
yeah, all is a bold statement because I was
Tucker
blocking comments
Carlson
this
and
morning.
some other big name ones have been
Well, the
making
influencers,
Antichrist allusions.
sure, yeah, the influencers are, but I'm not even talking about them because they don't give a shit.
I
We've known
don't
Tucker doesn't like
I
Trump.
don't think there's any real morality. I think it's a performance of superiority. I don't think there's any real grappling with morality. It's just like, I'm right because I know I'm right, and you must be wrong, and I don't care who I have to harm to continue to be
I'm right
right.
because I'm right, and you not because you not. What?
Pretty
What?
much.
Ooh,
Yeah, I think that's all it is. I don't think there's any real morality there. Like, they're not grappling, they're not struggling with the moral implications. They're not losing sleep over these things. They're just like, my team's winning, fuck your team. Like, they don't, it's USA, USA. There is no morality there. It's just empty loyalty to greed and profit and righteousness and white supremacy. As far as I can see, do they think that's what they're doing? I don't know. A lot of them do. I'd say
yeah.
some of
Well,
them, like my father, he would never say those words out loud that he thought that's what he's doing, but that's all it is an empty performance of righteousness and superiority.
I am curious about the Save the Children crowd, right? Like who are the children? Who are the children? Like, what children? What are you talking about? Like, there's
Like the QAnon people.
the, well, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm flashing all the way back to when I was young enough, and the moral majority was still stuck very much on that point, right? I
Oh,
grew up.
like trans people are going to make our kids trans. Like those
Well,
people.
yeah, they're still suggesting, right, that even having representation is going to make other kids or other kids trans or whatever, right? Just representation, just having the music on is going to make white girls wanna fuck. If you have rock and roll playing, you can't have Little Richard playing.
Well, yeah, because their
Just
entire thing is based on repression, control, domination, and control and supremacy. They're trying to dominate and control their children. The only way that you think seeing a trans person is going to turn your kids trans if you think your child is some malleable thing that can be molded by the inputs you give it, instead of recognizing this is a unique human soul who came into this world with their own purpose. And you get to like support them, but you can't turn them into who you want them to be. But that's the way they
yeah.
approach child rearing. They approach child rearing as if their children are some empty vessel for them to fill up with thoughts and dogma and righteousness and rules so that they can go out and dominate and
Okay,
control
so
other
what
people,
about
I
this?
guess.
Let's try this on. Where is the morality then, right? Um, Around their own mommy and daddy issues. Like, are they trying to show the ghosts of their parents and or their parents that they're doing it the right way? Right?
I
Like,
mean, or
look,
that they
I
know the
did it
right way
how
and their
you did
parents
it.
didn't. Like, yeah, for sure. I mean, you don't create people who have superiority complexes without first having made them feel inferior. And so there's an incredible amount of trauma in that kind of child rearing. Because as
Yeah.
we just
Yeah.
said, if you're being treated as a child as if you are evil incarnate until I beat the good into you, and that every thought you have outside of this very narrow norm that is not comprehensive of human experience is evil or sin and
Well,
must
sure,
be,
you were born
repressed,
into
then
sin.
yeah,
You're
you're a
born
very
evil.
traumatized person. You don't know how to
Yeah,
be
no,
a
you're
decent
born
person. You
evil.
don't
You're
have any
born
sense of
evil. God is
morality.
good. God is good.
Rules, and all you're doing is following rules. There's no
No,
sense
all
of
the time. You
morality.
didn't go to a Southern Baptist church. No, you didn't. You went to Catholic school. Never mind. I
I,
don't know. Or Catholic
I only
church.
went to Catholic school for like kindergarten
Church.
and first grade.
Sorry, not school.
I did grow up in
I
Catholic
only
church.
said that because I said God is good, and you did not. You are so versed in Black culture and idioms that I expected to hear all the time, and you did not even fix your
I
face to
saw
say it.
a Black American Catholic priest the other day who was preaching like a Black Baptist preacher, and I was so confused. It was the best Catholic service I've been to in a very long time. It was, also a lovely celebration of life for someone who passed too young.
That's
But
because we
I
got a
was just
Black
so
Pope now.
confused. I was like in Portland. I'm like, what is
That's because of
happening
Pope
here?
Leo. Yeah, Pope Leo fucking it all up. He like, look, niggas, hey, niggas. We're gonna talk like us. I have no idea how Pope Leo sounds. I have no clue how that mulatto actually sounds.
And he just a white man from Boston?
Is he just white? I thought he was
Pretty sure
mulatto.
he's just
I thought
white.
he was black too. Just the last one?
I had not heard that. I thought he was just like a white Irish Catholic from Boston or something.
Oh, maybe I just,
I
I
think
don't know.
he did a lot of work maybe in the Latino immigrant community.
Okay.
We're a large number of the Catholics.
You'd
are
know
coming
better
from
than I
these
would.
states.
I don't know. I don't know
Catholic
shit
Church
about
is only
Catholics.
staying. The Catholic churches only stay open because of their Latino congregations at this point.
Well, in the U.S. for sure, and of course the Greeks.
They're Greek Orthodox. They're not in the Roman.
Oh, that's
Catholic
right.
Church.
That's not Catholic. That's not Catholic.
They're Greek Orthodox, but they're not Roman Catholic. No.
Okay.
As far as I know. I'm sure some of them might be, but I think that's different. Anyway, we started with where we were working. We were not working with MAGA people. We were working with folks who were committed to racial justice and to using their positions of power to try to identify and mitigate racial harm and racial disparities in public services so that everyone could benefit from the things our tax dollars pay for. We help people learn how to deal with folks who are resistant. And in that moment, there was more leverage from the top to be able to do so. In the first Trump term, the people were all like using their resistance coffee mugs and everything. And so a lot of people wanted to be on that band, and he had not as successfully dismantled all of the administrative state at that point. So there was a lot of people trying to step up and like be part of the movement, especially. And then going into the 2020 uprisings after George Floyd's death, and everyone wanted to be on that bandwagon. But there were people doing this work legitimately that was not only performance before 2020, and then there were people still trying to do it afterwards, even though it did become a trend and people called us, DEI consultants or equity consultants or something. That's not what we ever wanted to call ourselves, even though we got pushed into that realm of the work. But, where we were successful was helping people actually figure out how to analyze and identify racial disparities in their work in hiring, in recruitment, retention, disciplinary actions among their employees. That's where we are able to make the most impact, and to look for ways that they could improve their services so that they weren't creating racial disparities in the quality of services, the processes, the outcomes that their customers and clients were experiencing along the way. And, by accounts of what we were able to watch people transform and how we saw people transform and how people told us we changed their lives and then came back and told us the things that they did that are different now than they used to be. And, we were able to create a lot of impacts. I don't know. How would you summarize the work we had been doing up until this point? What did you tell people you did when you weren't doing comedy?
Oh, I didn't. I said I made words, but like I at this point, right, and having listened to what you had to say, I would think, that truly we were providing human-centered organizational development consulting, right, and that looked like and potentially can, if anyone wants to contact us, please feel free. Looks like, as you said, it was very rare that an individual might, but an org would contact us because things were just going swimmingly, right? Like it was like, something happened. How do I get out of this shit? I don't want to get in trouble. We're going to end up in the newspaper. That was everybody's big one, which I still don't understand the fear behind, given that newspapers aren't a thing anymore. But they were going to end up in one.
The governor reads it, apparently.
Great. Liberal ass, but yeah,
we were almost always called in the aftermath of some kind of intense conflict, either
an intense conflict and then one that
happened or conflicts
that they tried to clean up and get around without actually changing the dynamic, right? Without changing course. And it's a good reminder as well that none of us, very rarely is any of us sitting around looking for a way to change our outlook on the world. There certainly is a thing about living in the liminal space, and those of us with wanderlust and like looking to learn more because we've gotten quite adept at learning how to learn more and wanting to explore further, what there is within, right, the river of what we know. Though it's very rare even then that, for instance, somebody is like, I wonder how I can blow up my whole life and start again at 40, unless they are in an unhappy and
50.
Yeah, sure, or at any time, and like unless their life is like locked down into something that's unhappy, and it is very hard to create and to innovate when you are in that place of comfort, right? Because it's like, well, what I get up the next day and I'm doing some more of what I did yesterday. That's what I do, right? And so you get into the loop, and then if the trinkets, as I have always referred to them as, and the little gifts of consumerism are given you, or you can afford them, it gets very easy to just kind of like keep doing what the fuck ever, which is why like Congress is so ineffectual, right? Like they're allowed to, and in fact encouraged to participate in insider trading. Like that's not, these are not people who, when they look at what Pelosi and there aren't any Republicans who are there that long anymore. I don't know. Mitt, when he was there, Kevin even were able to assume.
Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, Mitch McConnell and the amount of wealth, not assume, amass, all through insider trading, right, including arms dealing and everything else. I know that the Gen Z and millennials get it, right? But I also know there's like 8 in House and Congress, House and the Senate.
The young Congress people. Okay.
Yeah. Who get like, hey, you know what? We can't just be insider trading. That can't be what we're here for. We need to change and adopt this, that, and the third law. And yes. And meanwhile, the state representative in New York is being handcuffed for trying to keep ICE out of keep residents in their homes. The numbers of death threats against AOC are just ridiculous and verified, as opposed to somebody else who has decided to go by three
assassination attempts.
Somebody else who's decided to go by 3 initials and keeps telling us how they were nearly assassinated. Listen, okay.
And how nobody cares anymore.
Nobody cares because nobody can. You're the boy who cried bullet. What are you talking about, friend? We don't believe you. First, you killed one of your own and had him kill one of your own, and then put ketchup on your ear, and then put a fucking Kotex on it for a week, trying to convince us you had your ear blown off. But I guess you're a mutant because it grew back. Then there was another one at a golf course who was for sure gonna assassinate you, but there's no evidence. We've never heard anything else about that person. And now
I've never heard anything about any of these people again.
This brother, and I do believe, ran across the country because they were posting and doing all the things with the intent to be like, you sons of guns. But also, how could they have gotten to the White House, walked in, with a gun in their hands. Nigga, they're supposed to be fucking. You can't even get in where our mayor stays here in Portland. You can't. They put metal detectors there. Mm-hmm. What are you doing? If there's no metal detectors, it's because you want people with metal to come in. If the FBI is an FBI, then they knew that this dude was coming. If they knew he was coming and turned off the metal detectors and did not let him get anywhere near the actual dinner, guess the fuck what? Still staged. I'm not saying that they did it. I'm saying allowing the red flag to go forth so that they could go in and rescue everybody. Pearl Harbor. God, I want to live in a real country.
I agree. Yes, I would like to live in a country where we're like, every human here deserves housing and healthcare and education, and we're not going to treat our populace like some kind of cash crop for billionaires to just extract and exploit from and use them as cogs as long as they're useful, and then throw them out as disposable products that they are when they're no longer useful anymore. It seems like most other countries do a better job of this than us, at least the colonizer ones that we call the developed countries.
Well, at very least, right, like they learned because Italy fell apart, and like they were like, oh wow, we don't have any money or food, let's not do that anymore. Let's make sure everybody has health care. And this was like in the 90s, dude. Like this is not a long time ago.
I mean, I remember I spent a summer in Guatemala learning Spanish. I took out my student loans. I had a scholarship. I took the student loans they offered me. I saved them all year, and then I used them to go pay for a summer in Guatemala at a language immersion school so I could learn Spanish. My mom and my sister went with me for the first 2 weeks, and my sister got very, very ill, some kind of stomach thing or something. And we went to the emergency room in Guatemala. Very low-key emergency room. Doesn't look like the emergency room in the U.S., but they took care of us. She got everything she needed. No bill. No bill.
Yeah.
I remember also on that trip, we went to the National Library of Guatemala, and that library did not even look like the downtown Portland Central Library. Didn't even look like the PSU library, let alone the Library of Congress of the United States. I mean, half the shelves were empty. They were just like steel shelves, very few books.
This is in Guatemala as well?
National Library of Guatemala. So the level of national poverty compared to the U.S., just in terms of like books of what's available to people at the National Library of the country. But they could just take care of foreigners for free at the hospital. And their people too. Right.
Yeah,
so
everybody.
Even a country with that limited of resources just takes care of people at the hospital. But here,
everybody, because the doctors and nurses are paid by the state and they receive a fair wage. And there aren't a bunch of nurse strikes and doctor strikes and shutting down the hospital and shortages of workers. Like, what are you doing?
This was 20 some years ago. So I don't know what the current state of healthcare in Guatemala is.
Not Guatemala, but I mean, in the places where there's nationalized healthcare.
Yes, all of Europe has figured it out, right?
Yeah.
Like this is not that hard.
Canada. I was looking at Canadian Review the other day who was watching a movie in which one of the main plot points was that somebody was being wiped out by a hospital bill, and so was committing subterfuge to figure out how they were going to pay for it and this, that, and the third. And the reviewer was like, what? How is this a plot point? Like, I understand there are plot points before and after WhatsApp, before and after Zoom, before and after a cell phone, and you have to start writing them in to incorporate them. Now the plot point is not just one movie starring Denzel Washington, but everything. The plot point is they're robbing us blind, and how do we get our money back? Wild shit.
Mm-hmm.
Wild. Yeah, John Q. Great film.
I mean,
great film.
I'll go on my little not for the client call boardroom rant, which is this entire country is just founded on human sacrifice, and everything is set up to just sacrifice as many humans as possible, as much human energy and life force as possible. Right? from the transatlantic slave trade to the genocide of indigenous folks to the exploitation of women who were shipped over here for the comfort of the people who were here. Just the entire country is founded just on human sacrifice and exploitation. And then it's always been the same. You just project all your sins onto all the victims. It's just Darvo. Just deny, attack, reverse, victim, offender. Oh, they're the barbarians, but you're the ones committing genocide. They're the ones who engage in human sacrifice. How many people are at the bottom of the ocean? Right? How many people have you massacred and murdered on these lands so you could assert control and dominate the human population and the natural resources? Like, this is all it is. It's just human sacrifice. You look at Epstein Island, go all the way back to when Columbus stepped foot off that ship with all his other nasty colonizers and what they did to the men, women, and children there. I was looking at thing today. It's like the average age of a hostage on a slave ship was 15 years old. It's where children being trafficked, right? I mean, there's nothing in this country that isn't set up to figure out how to exploit other people. And the way that they get away with it is by saying, but you could be one of them. Bacon's Rebellion and sowing division between the Irish indentured servants and the African enslaved folks, and be like, well, you could own them someday if you toe our line instead of fighting with them. Like, everything is just set up. You could get ahead a little bit, but don't you want to have a little bit more? You sacrifice them.
Well, that
you can
plus
have
the
more.
threat, right?
The entire
of like,
country
you could be the
founded on human
slave.
sacrifice.
You could be the hostage. So how about you go ahead and get with the system?
You
You could be
sacrifice
the
them
one
or
in
I'll
jail.
sacrifice you.
Yeah. And, and I wonder about sacrifice too, right? Because I get what you're saying. And I'm not arguing the point. The point obviously stands, right? For me, because I am autistic, I go to the root word and I'm like, okay, to make sacred, nothing is being made sacred in what happens. And that's one definition. It's not the definition. But it certainly is built on extermination and human suffering. I mean, there's just no pretending it's anything other than that, an exploitation.
I'm making sacrifices to the gods of greed and violence, domination and control. It's making sacred sacrifices to domination and control.
Yeah, well,
superiority
and control
supremacy
is what is sacred in that case, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's not what I find sacred. But
no. In that,
it's what they've the true faith they've tried to spread around here in this country is greed, domination, and control, hatred, and fear. Like, those are the things that make this country tick. And it like Hansel and Gretel house made of candy, or a gold-plated tower, or whatever other kind of nonsense they put on it to try to make it look shiny and pretty. When it really just is all the fruits of human suffering.
Yeah. Well, let's take a quick break. Come back for a little bit more of this good stuff. And
that's good stuff.
You know what I mean? It's delicious.
Awful.
It's delicious.
All horrible.
And we'll come back around. I don't know what we're talking about here.
All right, welcome back to Strategy and Solidarity Pod, the podcast. I'm Theresa Logan.
I'm still godless.
You usually do that part. We're talking about a lot of things. I think we're mostly just ranting and venting about our former careers and the current state of the world. No, I mean, for people, we got called equity consultants. It's not what we ever called ourselves. It's not really what we were claiming to do. We were not fans of the whole diversity, equity, inclusion frame because it was so commodified and just a buzzword, and so much of that work was performative. And we, again, we approached it in trying to help people deconstruct their understanding of the world and understand their place within it, given the hierarchies of power and oppression that we all have to navigate. And how can you use the power you do have where you have it to do what you can do to help dismantle those systems and build something more just and sustainable in their place. And we did that with, people call them trainings. I like capacity building sessions, help people learn to understand structural racism, because most people did not. Learn to understand how you could create an intervention to identify and mitigate racial disparity. And we did a lot of leadership coaching, because a lot of people end up in leadership positions without any real skills for knowing how to manage people well, or what it takes to really lead folks through challenging times and terrain.
Yeah.
We're just kind of trained to like give orders, again, command and control. The boss tells you what to do, you do it, and to break people out of that into more collaborative leadership styles. And also to like hold the line and be the one driving the car when things get bumpy, because sometimes collaborative decision making sounds great until you got 12 people wanting to go in 12 different directions, and no one will just get in the car
Yeah. Yeah.
and go.
Yeah.
As we work with people on all those kinds of things, it was very meaningful work. um, Created a lot of outcomes, a lot of challenges. A lot of people loved us, some people really did not, because we had a very direct approach that wasn't about centering making kinder, better white people, which is what a lot of diversity, equity, inclusion, like training work was all about. It was like, we just have to help the white people understand. We just have to teach the white people not to. And it was like, that was one thing we didn't do, was we tried very hard not to center white folks or whiteness
Yeah.
in the way we were approaching the work, to really center and make space for folks of color, not to just be heard or put the trauma on display for white folks to learn, which again is what a lot of that work, a lot of other folks doing that work did, but to really let them move into positions of leadership and to take up more space and to have their voices heard, and to use their skills and expertise instead of being sidelined and tokenized and harmed along the way.
Yeah. Well, I think for folks leading things, right, in leadership positions that we worked with, as well as those who we have been trying to and continue to try, because I don't know, it's certainly not over. It is shifting in its nature. I would love to work my way out of it being necessary, but that is not the same as the state trying to say that thinking is illegal. Um, but for the folks on both sides of that, right? The reminder, and certainly was a reminder for me as well, that none of us is getting through this without uh, honest and thorough and regular feedback and input. I mean, certainly you can, right, and you can do your leadership and or job in a way of, I'm just going to go to my job at the end of the day, and I'm going home and I'm going to feed my fish and I'm going to watch. I don't know what people watch or do in the evenings anymore, because TV is garbage. But
YouTube.
whatever they do, huh? YouTube.
YouTube.
That's me. That's a me thing.
Paramount
Whatever it
Plus,
is that,
Disney
right.
Plus. I don't,
Do you read? Do you read with your eyes?
definitely
I
don't
don't know what
no
people
one reads anymore.
do. I do. But that, it really, trying to have clarity about the ways in which we move, and trying to move with what I think is the correct an imperative, right? I don't know correct, incorrect, whatever. Again, I don't know about morality. I don't know how right now what any of that has to root to, but I do think that there is an imperative for our existence to understand that it is a coexistence and an interdependence, not a matter of just need and consumption. And I think that for me, that's where it gets really tricksy, right? Because people, myself included, believe that there's get lulled into believing that there is, again, ease and relaxation if there is both enough to consume and the means to consume it available, then great. This is what we're doing. And so in deciding, right? Not deciding, in being fed the propaganda that is the way that the system works, while those who actually initiate the system are busy trying to figure out how to create consumers and workers and have no concern with the rest of the shit, right? Just like, how do we keep them consuming? How do we keep them working so that we can keep getting money? Like, and so then you find your new iPhone every 2 years, your whatever, you got to get a new, I need a new TV, my TV, I need a big one of these. I can't have just a box I look at. How boring is a box? I need one I can hang on a wall or put in it can be art. And right, again, it's all symbology, right? It's all about the signifying monkey. Like, if you've got the right thing, it demonstrates both internally and externally that you have have found your place and position of value within the society. This vapid, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. There's nothing inside of that. But that is, the sort of system, I think, that for
The mythology.
well, the mythology of white supremacy, as I'd often called it, but I mean that had been too provocative for people, because the idea that as a white person, somebody has been through living and growing up in the United States and suffers because that's what the United States is built on. And then you tell them, yeah, well, it's, built to create a system wherein you're going to be fine. You're never going to be great. But that is the advantage. Being fine is the advantage. And you've still got somebody to look down on, even if it's fucked. So you're good. And that would be enough for people to keep propagating and voting against their own interests and working against their own interests, right? Simply so that A, B, or C person doesn't get what I got. Because if you got what I got, then what I got isn't exclusive. And if it's not exclusive, then how is it special? And if it's not special, then how am I special? Because who am I?
I'm a teacher. I only make $20 an hour. How are you going to pay someone $20 an hour to work at McDonald's? It's like, well, maybe you should advocate to get your salary increased, and maybe you should recognize that everyone deserves a living wage. So
Yeah.
when you're tired of those kids, you can go get your McDonald's.
Yeah. I mean, there's, or shitting on anybody, right? Your job.
Because that's the superiority and supremacy. I worked harder. I earned this. You shouldn't get what I have without working for it. This myth of deservingness and that poverty. There's been a lot of people talking about why poor people are always getting policed about what they buy and what they eat, or they're just buying lobster and whatever with their food stamps. It's like, who cares?
And no, they're not. Nobody is doing that.
That's not what
where's
most
their
people
lobster?
are buying.
Who's got lobster?
I'm
Where is
sure
their lobster?
Someone has done it.
I'm sure it's happened before.
I'm sure you can find someone who's done it, or someone.
If there's a system, they're going to cheat, because that's the ethos.
You have to survive.
That is the ethos of this country.
You can't buy toilet paper with your food stamps. So if you need toilet
paper
want to
get rich?
Or an oil change in your car, or new tires for your car, or anything else, you sell your food stamps. You can go buy this and sell it for cash. Like, you got to hustle, because it's not enough to survive on, because it's a sadistic country. We like to watch other people suffer. And that's the thing we don't talk about, right? That other side of it is it's a sadistic culture that enjoys watching other people suffer. And there's
Homeboy
just
don't pay his bills.
Who?
Homeboy, the assaulter in chief. He just don't pay. Yeah, he just don't do it. I
think wealthy people pay for anything.
No, no. Not like not structurally. He don't pay. Not like, hey, Mr. Trump, would you put this up
No, like
so
he
that
doesn't actually pay bills.
like he literally owes people millions and
Yeah.
millions of dollars to this day.
Yeah.
And he just, I don't think I should pay you. And then he doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, I wrote my whole entire master's thesis on the healthcare reform debate of the Obamacare in 2008, 2009, because my father, who almost died from the swine flu, because that was the one that was going around back then, um, was still like, I'd rather have no healthcare than government healthcare. And it's like, there's no
Okay.
logic involved there. No logic at all. And it's just the mental model is for conservatives, every reward, every positive or negative experience you have in life is 100% a direct result of either a flaw or an attribute in your character, either your own moral failing or going back to this like Puritan thing that like wealth is a sign of good moral character because God has
Yeah.
blessed you because you've lived a prosperous life. And it's like
Well, and your
that
hands weren't idle.
mentality is still there. And this idea that poor people are poor because they're lazy. And so if you help them and let them have nice things, they won't work harder to pull themselves out of poverty instead of being like the system requires people to be poor so they can be exploited. And nobody is working harder than a poor person with two jobs trying to figure out how to keep their bills paid. No one is
Nor
budgeting
is anybody
better
more
than a
innovative.
single mother who got to work off food stamps and a minimum wage job to try to keep her kids fed and housed. Like it's
How do I do this? What do we get? What can I eat? What can I not
that
eat?
morality is like your suffering is deserved. You've earned your suffering by some moral failing. That's their morality. It's sadism.
Well, and and then you add to that, right? The lauding of the idea that suffering is good for the soul, right? And that Mother Teresa bullshit. And it's like, that's
My
cute,
namesake.
except you're out there running around and what dead now, but running around and raising all this fucking money and then not giving it to the suffering and giving it to the Vatican. And you're the number one fundraiser, and that's the only reason that you got all this goddamn publicity in the first place. How about you suffer? How about that? How about you? How about the Pope suffer? Why he got to be wearing Versace shoes? What's that for? Like, I don't understand. I don't understand. I know all of that dude's clothes are hand stitched. Like, nah. I don't know. That's just a thought about Mother Teresa.
Do you want to go do an equity training at the Vatican and get them to like not?
I'd love to.
Get them to use like Goodwill clothes or something.
Talk about the mythology. Like, okay, so first of all, from now on, all that shit y'all see all them kids in, like in all the videos, you gonna be having on a t-shirt for that says 2026 champion, and it's going to be every basketball team that's already been eliminated and will be eliminated, and that's your whole gear. That's it. That and the shoes from 2 seasons ago and some shorts. That's it. That's what the Pope wears.
Okay.
That would make him look like a Jesuit priest.
Yes.
No, I'm wearing what you wear. I relate. I'm not here to exploit. I relate. Oh my goodness.
Did you hang out with a lot of Jesuit priests?
Oh, too many. And again,
Yeah?
right,
Where?
it was from the place of wanting to do the right thing, right? Like hanging out with folks who were involved with FMLN, hanging out with folks who were involved in Ecuador, hanging out with folks, really anywhere in Central America, right? And you start talking about the folks who are still there working with community and do find some level of respect in community when it happens. And again, exception, not the rule. You'll often find that they're Jesuit priests. You will also equally find Jesuit priests who have turned it into a bigamist and assault colony for themselves because they can. So there's that.
Power corrupts.
There's that. And again, all of this, I do want to say this as well, is not, I am not trying to suggest that people do not hold on to their spirituality and their foundation, right? Whatever brought you to whatever that belief and or practice is, if it is helping you not only survive the circumstances under which in which you find yourself, but helping you to have some understanding of yourself within the system, separate from the system, and your own ability to influence it. You know, and many religions don't do that, and there's a point at which it is not to the benefit of any organization to be doing that, right? Like Terry Gross does not want somebody to take her job. Elijah Muhammad didn't want Malcolm X to take his job. Like, you know, like at that time, Malcolm was much more devout to the principles of NOI, and the idea that he would have exposed all of the corruption happening at the highest levels in terms of gathering wealth and abusing women and abusing girls, was why he found himself silenced and eventually assassinated, right? Along with the CIA, cooperation from the CIA.
I think we just went from like liberation theology and Nation of Islam as revolutionary religious paths that can lead to liberation, but then get co-opted and corrupted by men with power. Is that what the
most often, yeah? And you can, and it doesn't mean that you cannot hold your own faith, right? There are believers who understand that I wish I had not hippie words for this, but like the vibrational energy of mutual reciprocity and communal care means that there will be opportunity for us to find care in that same communal spirit when we need it, whether that be emotional, financial, whatever it happened to be. And when we are divorcing ourselves from that and or robbing from the coffers, to make our own immediate environment more comfortable, more fancy, more whatever. I don't understand, because at a point you have all the money. Like, you have all the money. Having to be the richest of all the rich people just seems like such a dumb pursuit. You have over $1 billion, you're good. You have over $2 million, you're okay.
From religious people to billionaires?
All of that. Well, I mean, again,
that jump? I'm just trying to.
So looking at Elijah Muhammad, right? Looking at these other people in these churches and the synagogues and whatever, you're looking at people who are getting paid. You look at reverends, bishops. You look at people who, if that institution is there for too long, end up starting to exploit their own congregations, right? Pass the plate again, pass it again, pass it again.
Most of them aren't becoming billionaires, though.
No. Okay. But you find the billionaires using the exact same methodologies.
I see.
Right.
Okay.
To then, okay, so you want to have your Cadillac and live near the people near where you grew up in your community. Great. I want to exploit the money from everybody in this country. And so I'm going to read from the Old Testament tonight. And it's like, bro, you don't know the old from the new. Oh, you didn't see that? Trump read from the Old Testament.
When? I thought he didn't do that.
He was clearly reading it. It was very bad.
He read from the Old Testament.
Was almost as bad as when they put him out there doing the AI speech. But whatever the mini stroke was, they've given him enough of whatever they need to give him that he's able to read words at least. And so he read some speech from the Old Testament after Hegseth read the script from Pulp Fiction and said he was reading the Old Testament.
What?
Yeah, he
What?
read the speech during he read Sam Jackson's speech and said he was quoting the Bible. Sir, that's not
How did that
a
happen?
Bible quote.
Did
He
ChatGPT give it to him, or a staffer gave
no,
it to him,
no,
or
no. He
sabotage?
thought he doesn't read the Bible. Come on, what do you mean? How did it happen? Nigga thought
How
I
do you
saw
get a
Pulp
Pulp
Fiction.
Fiction?
Sam Jackson said this is in the Bible. It must be in the Bible. I'm going to read it now.
That's very
They
confusing.
they don't read they don't check their sources on anything. How are they going? Why would they care?
They don't need
Why would they
sources. They're
care?
just making shit up. They just say whatever they want to say.
So let me grab the
Somebody probably gonna print a
Bible
Bible and
quote that
put that in
sounds
there.
like
Somebody
there's already
make
a Donald Trump
that's got.
Bible.
Oh, that's disgusting.
He put his name on the cover of the Bible, so you could just shove that quote in there if you want to. Because why not? I mean, why not? Why not? All that to say, right? Go ahead.
All that to say,
I don't know. I was going to land it, but when you said it threw me off, and now I forgot what I was saying anyway. Please.
well, I think you started talking about that there are people who do still find meaning in organized religion and faith, and that faith communities can be very impactful when they're not exploited by men with greedy, amoral motives that are making
Yeah.
it an ego cult instead of about community, um, faith and meaning and mutual aid, which I think is a function that churches have played that's very supportive of life that a lot of us no longer have access to because we don't do that anymore. Um, and I used to call myself an ethnic Catholic after I stopped going to church because I grew up around the like liberation theology people. I grew up in like the liberation theology wing
What's
of the
an
Catholic
ethnic
Church.
Catholic?
I was like, well, it's still like I'm Irish Catholic. Like,
What
like
ethnicity is that?
it's Irish Catholic. It's my ethnicity. Because I still resonated with it, having been the place where I grew up and like culturally had significance for me, especially having grown up around the social justice liberation theology type Catholics. That was all still meaningful to me, and continued to feed my savior syndrome desire to do good work in the world. Um, and so I do appreciate those places where it has been a tool for meaning, for solace, for liberation, for survival for so many generations of people in so many different places. It's not useful to me anymore for the reasons that you pointed out of how many of those institutions have been corrupted and used as tools of oppression and repression and ideological indoctrination and those sorts of things.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a lot of what we try to dismantle in our work, is to just ask people to engage honestly with questions about how the world works and what our place is within it. I don't need people to believe the same thing I believe. Having wars over whose God is the right God or whatever is no one's winning. It's been going on for a couple thousand years now. It's not done a lot of good for humanity as far as I can tell. So I'm uninterested in continuing those things, but I am interested in the mutually beneficial reciprocity of understanding that we're all connected, and that I think was part of our work of trying to break. And I had to break myself out of this as much as I could to be able to help other people try to do the same. It's not my job to be anybody's white savior. It's not my job to fix white people. It's our job to understand that what happens to one of us happens to all of us, that all of our fates are intertwined. And so when we create a more just world, we all get to be a little bit more free, and
Yeah.
expressing ourselves and enjoying the world and all the miracles and blessings and having support to get through the hard times and feel like we actually get to live a life as a human who's alive and worthy of a beautiful life, instead of as an input or an output of consumerism and capitalism.
An owner of data, a pile of data to be traded around.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well,
Physical body or a mind to provide labor to help create profit for the very few at the expense of everyone else.
well, I appreciate that you let me ask the initial questions to help initiate or engage No, initiate the conversation because yeah, trying to come up with even reasons for why the old frames that we used to use were used is like, well, how to use them, I guess, is like, who cares? Who cares?
What do you mean?
What are we going to do? Like, it,
What old
as
frame?
opposed to like coming out and doing, this is one of our DEI lessons, like actually like, no. What is it that we've been trying to build? What are we trying to build? How do we keep building and going forward?
Hmm.
Um,
Do you know how?
knowing,
What does that look
well,
like for you?
certainly no.
What do we
I
do
don't know.
moving forward?
I don't know. I don't know. That's we got to have something to talk about next week. That'll be great. Um, but truly, like finding again the grounding for this is why the work matters. This is what the work is, and then the only real question is how can we what is the appropriate Trojan horse to get it back to the people if we are going to be able to do that. um and we may not. I mean, we may just be doing public
It's not gonna be
offerings and folks coming where they can.
not gonna be a Trojan horse if we tell everybody what it is ahead of time.
Yeah, don't know what it is anyway, so it doesn't matter. Hey, thank you to each and every one of you for being here with us. And thank you to all of the folks who make this here podcast experience possible. Those are the supporters over at strategyandSolidarity.org. We would love for you to consider becoming one of those and to support our efforts at any number of levels. Would also like to thank our dear friend Amani Will for the use of his great song Love of the Earth as our intro and outro music. And thank thank the water gods for water, huh? I mean, you're getting all that hydrogen, you get all that oxygen, you're smashing it up, and you make a new thing, and it keeps my mouth from being parched.
Also, water is life. There's no life without water.
There you go. Okay, we'll see you next time, or talk to you next time. I don't know. Okay.
All right. Take good care of yourselves out there.
Bye.